Hey, what's up, Myles? What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. How we doing?
Doing good. Doing good, man. Doing
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, just hanging
Just
out, man. Yeah.
just your average week, just in Sweden.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, this
Yeah.
not where you normally broadcast from?
I don't think so.
No.
Don't think so.
Yeah. Boy, everyone's gonna be real disappointed when we don't reveal anything today.
Yeah, I know the pressure's on, right? The pressure is on.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to have a big asterisk right here on on the thumbnail here, and it says, "But we're not telling you anything today." So.
What I like is some of the speculation is that the game is actually called Top Secret.
Yeah, no, I mean the cats have all sorts of great ideas here. I think one of them said Mark Smith. They said they're actually calling the game Myles Invades, which would be
Ooh.
yeah. I don't know.
And it's a horror game that I won't play.
Yeah, you actually make it into a game and you're never gonna play it. All right, man. Well, it's pretty late over there. So rather than goofing off, we should probably get the show started. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every single Monday, West Day, and Two Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live at 6 p.m. Eastern. I have no idea what time zone you're in, Myles, currently, but
It is midnight, so I am talking to you from the future, where it's one less day until PSVR2. Woo!
everything going okay in the future? Do we have flying cars
So,
yet?
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
No.
Whoa, what's out there? Whoa, a meteorite. Whoa. No, that's good.
have the Chinese taken over? No.
No, it's all good.
So still
All
nothing.
good.
Still nothing to worry about. So
Oh,
you
I'll tell you what,
can keep
no,
using TikTok, everyone. It's fine.
Not the Chinese, Brian. The Swedish. Like, seriously, I went out today and everyone's talking Swedish.
Is that what language they speak in Sweden? Swedish?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Never mind.
I know it sounds like I'm making a joke. I don't actually know.
No, you're right. They do. They speak Swedish.
They do.
So that's why they're all speaking Swedish. Sorry, it was completely unnecessary panic from my part. I apologize.
Every so often I find out that some other country speaks English and I'm like baffled. I'm like, I had no fucking idea.
Well, to be fair,
Yeah.
anywhere you go, you speak English. Everyone speaks English. It always makes me feel guilty because I'd rather learn their language. But the truth is, in a global world with the internet, everyone tunes into mainstream media, whether it's movies or music or gaming, and English is the dominant language. So for many people, it's just easier for them to speak English than for me to struggle on just saying hello.
I mean, I guess so. You said rather learn their language, but I was like, that's no small task. It's far more important to find out what AJ is asking. PSVR Underground in the chat with the $2 tip says, do the meatballs live up to the hype? I mean, are they the same shit we eat at IKEA?
So I've not had that yet. This evening I went to a kebab or kebab, do you say in the States place, and had this amazing mixed platter that was super tasty. My taxi driver recommended it. We went there, had a really good meal. But tomorrow we're getting taken out to a restaurant in the evening by Fast Travel Games, and we were shown a menu and told to pick our courses. And there are a couple of things on there that some of the options were traditional Swedish dishes. Don't ask me to tell you what they are right now, because I wouldn't even be able to pronounce them, even if I had them written in front of me right now. But I thought, yeah, I'm over here. I'm going to give it a try. I don't think meatballs was an option there. I don't even know if Swedish meatballs. I don't know if it's just one of those things that it's like it's popular in other countries, but back at home, it's probably not a big deal. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Nakazaka one in the chat says, are you guys talking about the new game? We want to be very, very clear about this, right? Like, you just got to Sweden earlier today, and Fast Travel is flipping the bill for all this. They flew you over there, they put you up in a hotel room, and you are not even getting to Fast Travel until and there's a gift basket.
we'll go through this later. But yeah, gave me a nice little card. And yeah, I mean, look, it all starts tomorrow, and then we've got some more things happening on Sunday. We'll talk about it later on the show. So yeah, there are some things I can talk about. There's other things I can't talk about, and the things I can't talk about is because they've not happened yet, and I don't know what they're going to be. But we can speculate, so that can be fun.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have you broadcasting from a Swedish hotel room without being like, Myles is invading fast travel games. Like it had to be the thumbnail. It had to be the title of the video. Especially since, like, you know, it's a relatively slow news week. We're still waiting for PlayStation to do their thing, and so while we're waiting for PlayStation to do their thing, well, we're gonna do our thing, which just means fucking deal with the clickbait. Belradia the Game Cat with the €6 says midnight my time. Yay! Hopefully there is a Steve at Fast Travel Games. There's no PSVR2 without a Steve. You're familiar with the Steve story, right? How Steve's really screwed up Wes's CES experience. Hopefully he'll stay far away from the fast travel experience.
Yeah, I heard from what Wes was talking about, and that, yeah. If I hear anyone introduce themselves as Steve, I will run in the opposite direction.
Yep, nothing but click turning and blinders with Steve. Looper the Underground Game Cap, the €2 says, don't you dare underestimate the meatballs, AJ. It's true.
Like this.
Swedish meatballs are great, man.
It's passion. Food is such a great subject to get passionate about. I love it,
dude. I'm a huge meatball connoisseur. The meatballs. Yeah. If you come to any holiday at the Parle household, you will find out very quickly that the meatballs are a huge topic of conversation. Whoever made the meatballs is going to be under close scrutiny that day, and no one is. I'm going to tell you, no one's ever happy. There's always a problem with the meatballs. We had Starlight 137 with the €5 says, just changed my PSVR2 pre-order from the normal bundle to the Horizon bundle. I gave up on hoping for a physical release. Much love from Croatia. Man, we got people from all over the place today.
So changing, does that mean you literally just cancel your pre-order and put another one in?
No idea.
You can't edit. Yeah. That's the question to put in the chat, because it's something I thought about. I actually went for just the regular. I didn't go for the full bundle, but a part of me, well, I instantly regretted it. Let's put it that way. But now that the pre-order's in, I'm too scared to sort of cancel and upgrade it.
Yeah, don't fuck with it. I mean, there's
just leave it.
I'm pretty sure they're available in most territories still. People were mentioning that, like, they were sold out in Canada, but you know, I'm sure if they're still available in your region, you're able to cancel the pre-order and just put a new one in. Obviously, make sure that they're not sold out before canceling them. Belrami the Game Cat with the €6 says, in other news, I finally caved today and pre-ordered PSVR 2 GameStop store pickup. No waiting for Sony. This is really what I want. I haven't done a midnight release on anything since Dead Island 1 on PS3, and I got to tell you, it had been a decade prior to that since I had done a midnight release for anything else. I think the only thing prior to Dead Island 1 I did a midnight release for was Radiohead Kid A. I went to Boston and stood in line on Newbury Street to get that thing at midnight. That's how intense we were about Radiohead back in the day. And so
I don't think I've ever done a midnight queue for anything. Sorry, line or whatever you call it. We call it a queue over there in the UK. Not here. I don't know what they call it here. Don't ask me. But I've done like the waiting 8 to 12 hours in a line at least for like shows that I want to get to the front of. But yeah, I don't think I've ever. But then again, the PlayStation 5 was the first console I ever got as a pre-order on launch. So which was quite remarkable to think about in hindsight. But yeah.
I mean, the timer here on the screen is counting down till midnight, day of February 22nd.
Yes.
And so, like, really, no one's gonna have it at midnight unless you find a place that is going to do a midnight release. And so, that seems like the best option. I'm gonna contact GameStops around here and see.
That's a really good point.
If that's an option for us. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you're doing over there in a little bit, but we still have a normal show to get through. So, so thanks everybody for hanging out on this nice casual Friday. You can see we're all dressed up casually. No shirts or ties today. What is on your shirt? I saw we did a test run to make sure that everything was working in the hotel earlier, but I don't. What's on your shirt? I didn't ask.
So Anave is a band, a friend of mine, Becca and Jamie. They're a double act, and they are. I don't even want to say what the genre is because it's one of those things that they'll probably hate however I describe them. But like, I'd say they're. No, I'm not even going to say. They're rock. They're rock, alternate music. Check them out, Anave. They really, really talented bunch. They've gone through a real evolution with their music, and I actually own 3 of this shirt because they're so comfortable and they look good. And actually, just to give like a little bit of advice to anyone that's ever doing merchandise, and always bigging up Jimmy from End Dreams. But when it comes to making merchandise, the quality of shirts in many ways is more important than the design. Like, of course, you want to have a good design, but because you wear clothes, if they feel comfortable, you have a you have a real connection with them. Thanks. And so with this shirt, when they had them doing a clearance sale, I was like, yeah, I'll buy another 2, and I just love them. And the frapped shirts that they did, really comfortable material, and so yeah,
nice
comfort.
Guys, don't forget, if you don't already hang out on our Discord, click the link in the description below and join our Discord. Conversations like this happen 24/7. Yes, about t-shirts. Yes, about meatballs, and sometimes even about PlayStation VR, which is sort of our bread and butter.
Yes, yeah, we do like to talk about PSVR occasionally.
And if you don't like sitting here watching videos live, we understand that. You can check this out on podcast services of your choice. Listen at your leisure, because we do it here for your viewing pleasure. And over there, we do it for your oral pleasure, which actually it's a joke that makes less sense if you're not watching the video, because I point to my ears, and people still don't understand that I'm not talking about oral pleasure. Anyway, Myles, we should probably move along.
It's our oral pleasure, though, as it's coming out our mouth, and we're realizing we're inspiring people. So yeah,
I get no pleasure. I get no pleasure out of this. None. 0. All
right.
Yep.
No pleasure for Brian. But anyway, moving on.
I don't know if you saw this, but there's as they do every single month, we've got the top 10 sales figures for the month of December over on the PlayStation Store. You can check this out on the PlayStation blog along with us. If not, then don't worry. We'll take care of all of that. So this is the December 2022's top downloads. And if we scroll all the way down to the PlayStation VR section, we start at the bottom. You'll definitely notice that there's different titles available, or different titles that are making the charts over in the EU. I'm gonna stick with the North American list, just for brevity's sake. But you can tell that some games were on sale this month because some random ones made the list, like Gun Club VR at number 9 in the EU. But number 10 was Sniper Elite VR. Number 9 was Astrobot Rescue Mission. Number 8 was After the Fall. Number 7, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Number 6, The Walking Dead Onslaught. Number 5, NFL Pro Era 22. Number 4, Swordsman VR. Keeps popping up real high up there. Super Hot VR. Number 3, Job Simulator 2. And then number 1, of course, some shit just doesn't change. Beat Saber. It's worth mentioning that a lot of these titles are the same in both regions. But I mean, man, seeing games like Rush VR show up in the EU top 10, Moss Book 2 in the EU top 10, very, very interesting.
And I assume that this does just mean the base game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you think about Beat Saber, if the base game is selling top constantly, and then you think about all the DLC, the revenue just must be phenomenal. I mean, we always thought it's phenomenal, but this really puts it in a whole other frame. Remarkable.
I mean, you have to figure that it's because of the DLC that it's still selling, right? Like every month there's somebody that goes, oh, like I can finally play Smells Like Teen Spirit in Beat Saber.
Yes.
I guess I'll finally buy it. That's the song I was waiting for. I mean, there's going to be something.
That's such a good point, because we often think the DLC is about serving the existing Beat Saber base. Yeah. And in some ways it is, different players have different tastes. But and that might be what they're thinking. But the other part of it is no. They need to come up with DLC that actually reaches new audiences, because the people that own Beat Saber, and you know what? When a new DLC comes out, they're probably going to get it. I get every one, even if I'm like, I haven't really heard much from it before. It's not really my thing. I want to get it because when I next have friends over to play Beat Saber, I want them to have that choice. You know, I want as many points of potential interest so that they fall in love with Beat Saber and thus VR. So, yeah, I mean, they're smashing it, and I'm so glad it's coming to PSVR2.
Right. Yeah. Normally I pick up every single DLC pack that comes out, for the reasons you mentioned. If anybody comes by, I want to make sure that they have as many options available to them, and I do like being exposed to music that maybe I wouldn't have known about otherwise. Like I didn't know who Lizzo was. I hate saying that. I didn't know who Lizzo was. I had heard of The Weeknd, but didn't know any of their music. I haven't picked up any of the stuff. I haven't picked up any of the recent stuff. But I was religiously picking up every single DLC pack that came out, and I think I finally hit a brick wall, and I was like, I think I need to wait for PSVR 2. As you know, I've like been having some tracking issues and stuff, and like, and I'm just kind of tired of it. So,
yeah, I actually bought in the last 3 weeks the last 3 DLCs together, so it was about £30, like $40.
Yeah.
Which is a significant amount. I think having waited for a few DLC before buying them really put in perspective how much I've probably spent, and I probably could work it out if I thought about it now. I don't want to think about it now. How much I've spent for all the DLCs, and it shows why it continues to have great revenue. And when you think that every sale made on the PlayStation Store, Sony gets a decent chunk of it. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I was just sorry. The last point I was going to make on that was I've played maybe one song on them, but the reason I bought it was the hope of PSVR 2, which isn't probably smart. I should have waited for it to be announced. And even though it has been announced, we still don't know the context. But I can't imagine they're going to ask you to buy all the DLC again. It seems unthinkable, but we all know that unthinkable things happen.
It's crazy that the people that have been the most quiet have been Sony and close Sony partners, and so to me that just screams there's something coming. There's some event coming, a state of play, some PSVR2 showcase of some kind, really starting to clarify that stuff. Like what is happening with Astrobot Rescue Mission, what's happening with Everybody's Golf VR, what's happening with Blood and Truth. Like can only imagine, Myles, you and I have talked so many times about the benefit like a plus collection would have on PSVR 2. All these games that you own on PSVR 1 are getting a free PSVR 2 upgrade, and that would be a great plus collection. And so then there's all these somewhat partners with Sony, with Wanderer saying, hey, we've got an announcement coming, but we can't say it quite yet. I mean, you see this constantly, right? Hey, we've got an announcement coming, we can't say it quite yet. And it's like, well, where is that happening? It's got to be happening at some event very soon. So patiently waiting for all that to be announced. So it's Sony, it's Sony's headset, and they've been the ones the most quiet about their software plans. So that's going to change really soon. Any other surprises on this list for you? Obviously Beat Saber number 1 is no surprise. Job Sim these are so expected that it's irritating.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you who the solid leaders are in the field month for month. The one thought it just made me had was I'd be really curious to know, and this is just from my experience of working with artists many years ago in the YouTube space when they were trying to get number ones at Christmas time and get in the charts with the music. It was always, you need to get this many sold to at least stand a chance. And I look at this and I think, how many copies of a VR game in 1 month do you have to sell to rank in that top 10? I genuinely couldn't even give you a ballpark figure. I have no concept, because a part of me feels that it's super quiet on PSVR. We're near the end. We've got PSVR 2 just coming over the horizon in less than 40 days.
Horizon, you say?
I know. I can't keep away from that term. And yet it seems that, yeah. But then a sort of a side question to that, Brian. When the PlayStation 5 came out, PS4s were still selling well. It's not that PS5 comes out, PS4 completely stops. There's this sort of overlap period. Do we think there's going to be an overlap period when PSVR2 comes out? There are people that I really want to jump into VR, but that's quite expensive. But there are these PSVR headsets that are a reasonable price. I might do that first, see how I get on, and in a couple of years down the line, I get the PSVR2. We could see something like that, but I don't know. What do you think? I know you're not going to care for people like that, but
no, I mean, I'm really happy that those people will exist. I've actually get comments pretty frequently being like, "Hey, really appreciate your channel. I just jumped into PSVR, and I'm getting caught up on all your reviews, and watching old episodes of GAMESCAST and Why We Love and all of this stuff." So there are plenty of people who are just jumping in now, but I don't think. The problem with that is that usually the tail on at the end of the PS4 or at the end of the PS3 or PS2 even, there's stuff coming from Sony or even third parties for that platform to make that a viable thing to jump into, so that people feel like they're getting something new, even if they just jumped in, like that there's still support coming. And it really feels like there hasn't been much support for PSVR1 in quite a while, right? So if you jump in now, I think you have to jump in with the expectations of like, there's only a back catalog to play. All this new stuff coming for PSVR2 is not going to get a PSVR1 version. Like, you kind of have to just be comfortable with that assumption from the get-go. And so, and that's totally fine. Like, you can't, I think this is about the cheapest way you can get into VR right now. If you buy a PSVR 1, a Pro or something, and then just you get all these games on sale. Tons of them are on sale month after month after month for like 60, 70, 80% off. And so, a PS4 Pro might still be expensive, but you can definitely get a $200 headset and ridiculously cheap games. So I think it's a great deal, but I also don't think it's, when people are jumping into VR right now, I think a majority of them are saying, "Oh, this PSVR 2 thing is happening. I'm going to wait for that."
Yeah. I think that's about right.
Yeah.
And so, and then one final question on this topic before we move on for you, Brian, and also for all the game cats in the chat. March 2023. If we were to get a top 10 PSVR 2 sales for March, what's gonna be number one?
Beat Saber.
I think it's Beat Saber as well. Because even if they say we have to buy it again, but you get the DLCs over, I'm gonna buy it again. Like, that's just the reality. It's that good. I would buy it again. I shouldn't have said that publicly. If they're watching, going, all right.
I got to be honest, man. I got to be honest. I don't think I would buy it again. Like, I really. This is what I've been saying, is that they have to be very careful right now, because there's always going to be another studio, another game, another rhythm game that wants to swoop in and eat your lunch, right? Like,
yes,
beat like
Synth Riders was always nipping at the heels.
That's right. And so Synth Riders had a free upgrade on PlayStation. On Quest Pro, right? Not even a gaming device, and they had a free upgrade for a better version of Synth Riders on Quest Pro. We're obviously getting a PSVR 2 upgrade, and very likely free, and hopefully with multiplayer and everything else we're missing on the PSVR 1 version over on PSVR 2. So Beat Saber needs to watch their back a little bit, because there's always going to be somebody who wants to take their place. And the second you give us a reason to abandon you, I think a lot of us will. It's like, I've been playing Beat Saber nonstop for years now, and I'm getting a little tired of it. I didn't love the newest the rock track pack. I generally don't like mixtapes, and I thought that all their choices were really generic, and I didn't love the mapping. And it's like, man, so every time I jump into Beat Saber, I'm reminded that I don't love this like I used to. And so if they give me an excuse to leave, I might take it.
It's such a good point about the mixtapes, because although I enjoyed the electronic dance music mixtape, it's kind of how I feel about if you have a playlist of singles, various artists, or an album. I'm not saying you can't enjoy the mix. I do playlists like that all the time. But the albums, you get more into it. There's more of a journey. And I find that when you look through the playlist and you're like, okay, Linkin Park, you feel like you're more in a zone, and you got a feeling with all the songs, and they have a certain style and character with it. I agree with you with that. But yeah, Beat Saber, some people in the chat are saying Call of the Mountain. I mean, I do think Call of the Mountain will be number 2. It could be number one, but I do think that I can just imagine like mainstream gamers that maybe aren't familiar
Yeah.
would be more drawn to Beat Saber because it has that mainstream appeal.
Here's why Call of the Mountain could be number one, and it's because I guarantee you that even though it's a packing game, with one of the bundles, that they will still count each one of those as a sale.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so that could very well be the reason that it tops the sales charts. I would love to see Village show up on that list, right? To actually prove that people are buying Village now. Like I'm sure sales for Village dropped ridiculous, just so much over the last year and a half because it's now kind of an older game. It's been out for almost 2 years, and people are like, okay, we bought. If you were excited for it, you bought it at launch, or you bought it the first time it went on sale, and then there was probably a huge drop, and now here we go, picks right back up. The problem with that being a hybrid game, it's the same SKU as the PlayStation 5 version, right? So I'm really scared that we won't see those types of games. We won't see hybrid games that share the same SKU on PSVR2 sales lists, just like we never saw them on PSVR1 sales lists. Like the top 10, we never saw Resident Evil 7 in there because it might sell 6 million copies, but you don't know how many of those people are actually buying it for PSVR. And so it doesn't make sense to have it on that list. So So unfortunately, I think hybrid games are kind of going to get the shaft when it comes to this stuff. Like Gran Turismo 7, that should be will likely be really high on the sales chart, but they're not going to count it as a VR game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, but probably Job Sim and Beat Saber will still be number 1 and 2 for a while. I mean, there's like just universal appeal with those games. People jumping into VR for the first time absolutely love that stuff, and certain YouTubers out there like really push this stuff too.
And especially when you consider that on launch of PlayStation 5, I can't remember the percentage, it was a significant percentage of PS5 owners, it was their first ever PlayStation console. I think that will happen with PSVR 2. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going, like we said with PS5, okay, this is the one I'm going to jump into because they've seen people have fun on the previous generation and go, okay, well, this is the one I'm going to go for. And so for that reason, yes, you're going to get an uptake of all these games that many people might have been sick of hearing about. But you know what? If that brings more people into the world, then awesome, bring it. This is the price we pay, Brian, is to yawn and sigh at the top 10 charts every month. That's the price we pay for seeing this community grow.
Yeah, I just want more variety next time around because it's all the usual suspects. So I'm definitely ready for a completely different list more frequently, and hopefully that'll happen soon. I wonder if they'll combine PSVR 1 and PSVR 2 games on the same list. I wonder. We got Firebird Old School in the chat with the 100 Sekiros. It asks, Myles, seen any Sekiros today?
No. Well, just maybe in the chat, but yeah.
Get Hip is in the chat.
By the way, I want to respond to people in the chat, but I can't because I'm not logged into my YouTube on this computer at the moment. Yep. So I can. I'm reading all your comments and I'm loving them. And AJ's going to send me one of his shirts, so bring it.
Get Hip is in the chat. He says, "I'm kicking down the door, Myles." I know he's out. He's out there in Sweden with you, right?
Literally putting his ear next to every door to see if you can hear me. I like that.
That's not super creepy. Stike Gamer.
I'll give him a clue though. It's floor 4. That will narrow it down a little bit for him.
It's probably like 2,000 rooms on each floor. Stike Gamer, the VRAF Game Cat with the €5 says, "Gesundheit, Brian. Get better soon." Yeah, I muted myself at least while I sneezed, but only for you guys, not for Myles. Myles still heard me sneeze each time. Yeah. Belramio the Game Cat with the €2.50 says, "Fuck Beat Saber. No sweat allowed on my shiny PSVR 2." Listen, I'm kind of with him, right? Every time I get something new, I don't even want to use it because I don't want to get fingerprints on it. I don't want to get it dirty. Like I actually got an analog pocket. I was so excited about an analog pocket, and then it finally showed up, and it's so nice. Like it came in like this really elegant box, and it's got this really beautiful matte finish on it, and it's like you're gonna see every single thumbprint, every greasy little Italian thumbprint that I could possibly leave on that thing. And dude, I'm scared to touch it because it looks so nice. I was like, so here I am. I got the thing I wanted. I don't even fucking play it. I'm a little bit concerned that I'm going to treat PSVR2 like way too carefully for the first, I don't know, 6 months, year. And then I'll start beating up on it because I won't care anymore. Get hip in the chest as a 90-year-old woman just told me to fuck off. That means you got the wrong room.
He says wrong door twice. Keep trying, but I say don't knock. Just message when you. Actually, no, just do a light little tap.
Time to move on to some PSVR 2 news. If you guys been keeping up, Survive came out on PSVR 1. It's got issues. It got a patch that addressed a lot of those issues, but it's still janky just inherently. Even the PC version is janky.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's but there's a lot of game there, and there's a lot of fun.
I love it. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
And then on their Discord, here, let me bring up the trailer so we can watch something else for the next 5 minutes. On their Discord server, the developers stated that they are currently porting Survive over to PSVR 2, which is a really, really good sign because as one of these later PSVR 1 games, it just didn't. I don't think it got the care it deserved. The resolution is low, and the move controls are not optimal. This is the kind of game, like even if it plays a little bit janky, playing it at a higher resolution with somewhat normal control schemes, having analog sticks, it's just, I think personally, it's going to be the way to play this game.
Agreed. Yeah, I just love the weapons in it, how the weapons feel, and so to have that with the DualSense controllers, and yeah, they're not called the DualSense controllers, are they? What are they called?
No,
remind me, Brian.
They're called the Sense controllers or PSVR 2 Sense controllers. But the thing is, dude, for the entire PlayStation VR 1 generation, I called the moves whenever I used two of them. I said dual move support. And now,
right, that's it.
And now you can't say dual sense support because that means something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad it wasn't just me being an idiot.
No, it's a problem for sure. But here's the good thing: the PC VR version of Survive, I believe, has 4-player co-op. We only got 2-player co-op on PSVR. Oh. So if you are thinking about playing through this game, maybe it's time to wait for the PSVR 2 upgrade so that you can actually play through with 3 friends rather than just 1 friend. Because I do think the more players you have in this game, the better off you are. Because I feel like I need 4 or 5 hands to do all the things that I want to in this game. I'm carrying a gas can and I'm trying to, and I've got a gun over here, and I got to reload the gun manually, and I got to pull something out of my backpack, and I don't know where I'm going, so I got to bring this map up. I'm like, I really need like 7 hands in front of me, just holding different items and like reloading and whatever. So that's why you need as many friends as possible. One person can be the navigator, just holding up the map, and then somebody can be holding gas cans. You coordinate and have different roles.
I genuinely tried to put the flashlight in my mouth to see if I could bite on it and hold it in my mouth while I was walking around. I mean, it was a small flashlight, so you would be able to go
right.
Yeah.
And
I was really annoyed you couldn't. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so maybe I'd love to see that in the patch notes. Flashlight mouth support added.
I mean, it was really. So many games allow you to just put it in your pocket, right? Like The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners comes to mind, obviously, and this definitely kind of steals some of those mechanics, like the backpack and everything else. But you can't. Yeah, you have to either hold the flashlight or find the flashlight attachment for your weapon, and so there's again a lot going on. I saw Bad Robo in the chat. It says you need Goro hands, right? You need 4 arms. Absolutely, some Mortal Kombat reference. So I'm excited about this. I wanted to review this on PSVR 1, and I just don't know if I've got it in me to do that, because it's one of those games that, like, it's exhausting to play because it just requires so much work from the player. But I don't know. Now that the bugs have been fixed, I do feel like it's worth my time to get back in there and figure it out. So, Looper, the Underground Game Cat with the €5 says, speaking of DualSense support, will Gran Turismo 7 be the only one with it at launch? a good question, man. As a racing game, it makes sense, right?
Yeah. About the thing about GT7, I was speaking to a few friends who played the flat screen version on VR gamers. I mean, they play when they come over, and when I get PSVR2, they're definitely going to want to come over and try it. A few of them were saying there's no. They didn't literally mean this, but they pretty much were leading on the idea that the only way you're ever going to want to play this is with a steering wheel and pedals. That's the way to play it, which I can understand, but I don't know the sense controllers. I don't know how it's going to feel. Is there going to be sort of this touch feeling with the steering wheel, and how immersive is that going to be? Is it going to give you a real sense of holding something? Because if you sort of are putting your hand where the steering wheel isn't, then you don't feel it. So you do actually get a sense of, here is the steering wheel in my hand. It's always a bit weird when you try and explain it and articulate it, but that is going to have to be the mechanic. But yeah, in terms of the DualSense support, is it confirmed that it will have the support for the DualSense? You will be able to use it? I mean, they wouldn't deactivate it for VR, would they?
Right. I mean, it's I don't think they've said anything. I mean, they really haven't talked about it at all, right? You know, Jim Ryan was on stage and talked about it for all of 15 seconds. So obviously they're going to have a lot more information coming our way soon. They haven't even confirmed that it's the full game yet. So we're just, taking them at their, we're assuming they're not trying to pull one over on us. So we need to wait for that announcement. I 100% would believe, sorry, sirens on my end. I would 100% believe that you'll be able to play with the DualSense in VR. I'm currently playing with the DualSense on a flat screen, and it feels great. I don't want to play this game in VR with the DualSense controller. I also, if they even gave us Sense controls support, like it's kind of the Minecraft syndrome, right? Everybody was like, I want to use a pickaxe in VR with the Move controllers, right? And they didn't give that to us. But can you imagine having to do this like non-stop for hours, and just it's like it sounds like a good idea in theory, but then the second you implement it, you're like, this is fucking exhausting. No one wants to do this. And so do you really want to have your arms out and not resting on anything real?
Right.
So you're holding Sense controllers and you're just like, for like hours? No, man, your arms are gonna get tired in minutes without something to actually rest them on.
True. When you mentioned that Minecraft thing, I just have this vision of some guy playing a Minecraft session, taking his headset off, and one of his arms is massive. Like Popeye, half Popeye. Mom! And then she comes in and is like, what have you been up to? Minecraft.
Firebird Old School says, my Logitech G25 doesn't support PlayStation 5. That's crazy. I don't really know much about the different wheels, but it's funny, every time I look one up, it always says compatible with PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 3. So like it's just been like, all this cross compatibility with some of the wheels. So yeah, just double check that before you buy anything. All right, man. Let's. I think it's time to head on over to Twitter. We saw a tweet from Noctis just yesterday, I believe. Maybe it was even earlier today. I don't remember. Here, let me bring that up on the screen. Boom, 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 boom. Here it is, Twitter. The tweet says, new things are coming. Stay tuned. Something completely new, but with the same essence. And then, of course, it's got this video playing, but it's also got the hashtags PSVR2, hashtag VR, hashtag dark, hashtag new, hashtag... I don't think they understand how hashtags work. I don't think any of these are trending at the moment. But it does bring up a very, very big question, is the biggest one being like, what the fuck is happening with Do Not Open on PSVR2? If they're like, hey, new things are coming, something completely different or something completely new, but with the same essence. I know you're, a little wary of horror games. Is this something that you've been keeping your eye on?
It has. It's about priorities, though, isn't it? So, like, I know I get teased a lot, and everyone has the right to tease me for horror games. I have a love-hate relationship with them just because I do enjoy them, but I hype it too much in my head, and my imagination gets the better of things. So, yeah, look, this is something I was definitely interested for, but I just get a sense, Brian, I don't know if you do, that there's this whole thing about with flat screen games for PlayStation, there are so many studios that are developing on projects that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
And it's not just they're working on one project, it's they're working on multiple. And I'm starting to get the sense with this new generation of virtual reality with PSVR2 that a lot of these companies are now deciding to work on multiple games because they've grown a lot through the PSVR period. And you just have to look at a lot of these studios that set up. I mean, look at Fast Travel Games that we're going to be talking a bit more about later.
Yeah.
They started off as a very small studio with talent from some very well-established game developers, and they decided, no, we believe in this technology, we're going to do it. I believe Fast Travel Games, I could be mistaken, started off with like 8 people. And it's grown because they've hit the wave, and it's amazing to see. And so they're in a position where they're like, new technology. And with PSVR 2, it's not just about we now have to put more into the games to take advantage of it. It's also, and is for lack of a better sort of explanation, the bar has been lifted in what is possible, and it means that they're able to say we're not having to take our games maybe from other devices and then make it work for the PSVR. Now it's like, no, this is the new ceiling.
Yeah.
And therefore we could do multiple projects to really make the most of what's possible on this. And so I'm sort of making a more general point here about VR, that I do think that a lot of these companies are working on multiple things. And also I believe that the reason there is so much quiet around new releases, Neil Druckmann was saying about it on a recent interview regarding new Naughty Dog projects. They haven't announced what their new projects are. The Last of Us multiplayer, they started working on it before the launch of The Last of Us Part 2, and they're going to announce something about it later this year. It means it might not come out this year, but they said the reason they've done it is they've learned by announcing things early, you create a culture of crunch, and developers get put under pressure because not only are they at work trying to get stuff done in time, they're also then going on social media and constantly being bombarded, which I'm guilty of because Yaroslav from Beat Games, every time he was posting something about, I wish for this to happen, and I'd say, you know what, I wish that Beat Saber came to PSVR 2. Yeah. And it comes from a good place. It's just enthusiasm. But then I'm sure that, and I thanked him afterwards. It was announced and apologised. When you have millions of fans around the world, it puts all this unnecessary pressure on. So I do think we're entering a new age now where game developers are like, you know what, we just need to be patient and work, and when it comes out, we'll talk about it. Which for people like us, Brian, It's annoying. I'm not going to take that away, but
it's not annoying to me. I will tell you this. I know this is you went. Boy, did you go down a tangent. But I did. I'll follow the breadcrumbs. I'll lead you back home, baby bear. Don't worry, we'll get there. I actually really enjoy it. I remember when Fallout 4 was announced and it came out like 3 or 4 months later. I was like, this is how I want things to happen, right? Because it got announced. I'm super excited for it, and then it's in my hands. Like, what's the point of spending all the money in marketing to announce something if it's not going to be out for a year and a half, 2 years? Like, what? It's like you're generating interest, but aren't you just going to generate that interest, that very same interest later on? Like, what's the point of rushing? And so yes. I get tired of things. Like I actually get bored of certain ideas when I see a game over and over and over, and they show a little bit more here and a little bit more there and then a little bit more there. Eventually, I feel like I played the game and it's not even out yet, right? So I'm like, I'm kind of good. I'm kind of good with all that type of marketing, so it works for me as somebody who has to cover stuff on YouTube. It's like, yes, that it gives us less to work with, obviously, but there's plenty of games. There's plenty of games.
Yes,
so I'm totally fine with it, man. The Fallout 4 formula works great. Getting back to Nox Noctis specifically,
yes.
This is a small team. This game was funded by the PlayStation Talent Initiative, right? And usually that I think it's a Spanish initiative by PlayStation España, and so they support small teams, and then these teams make PlayStation or PlayStation VR exclusives. And so that's what I expected was happening with Do Not Open, was that Sony was just trying to help them cross the finish line, right? they did technically cross the finish line. This game came out on PlayStation 5. It didn't get the PSVR 1 support we were supposed to get, but they did say, hey, PSVR 2. I got to tell you, man, I streamed this in Discord the other night. I finally put the disc in the PlayStation 5, and I played Do Not Open. I was like, I need to check this thing out. I've heard varying reports of its quality. As it turns out, I agree with some of the more negative reviews of this game. I think the visuals are beautiful. I think conceptually it's great. It's an escape room game that's procedurally generated. So every time you go in, like you might experience different rooms, different puzzle solutions. But the problem is I don't think these guys have ever played an actual escape room before, because what they're delivering is almost every room has a 4-digit lock that you need to figure out. And instead of interesting, creative ways of figuring out those 4 digits, you end up having to do math. Or if you're like me and you just have a terrible memory, like you need to get out a notebook and a pencil and start taking notes. And that's not something you're going to want to do in VR. And so part of me is reading this tweet that says, new things are coming, stay tuned, something completely new, but with the same essence. It's almost like for me, reading this and having just played the game, that the developers are also aware that this would be a horrible thing to play in VR, because it would just be frustrating. No one wants to do math in VR. No one wants to have to take notes in an actual notebook with a headset on, and they keep lifting the headset up.
Why don't they do a virtual notebook? That'd be cool.
That would be cool. That worked in Wanderer. There was a huge puzzle in Wanderer that really required you to use the chalkboard, and that was great. I was like, oh man, this is a complicated puzzle, but because they gave me the chalkboard, I was like, this is really fucking cool. And so I'm hoping, and this is obviously ridiculous. I'm expecting that we're going to get Do Not Open on PSVR 2, and we're also going to get some other game on PSVR 2. That's probably what they're implying. But I'm secretly hoping, not so secretly because I'm telling you about it right now, that they've realized that maybe the formula that they've come up with for Do Not Open doesn't work in VR, and that they need to maybe give us take the same environments, take the similar puzzles, and sort of like rearrange them and create something new with what they've got that works better in VR. And so I really hope that this is on their mind, because I will wait if it means we're getting a better game, because I kind of don't want to play Do Not Open anymore. I played it for an hour or two, and it was mostly frustrating. So I'm not.
That's a shame,
I'm not a big fan of what they delivered. So fingers crossed.
I like someone in the chat said VR pen add-on.
Right,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, and
sense pen,
a single sense.
Yeah.
Miles, that brings us
$99.99.
That brings us to Sweden, Miles.
Yeah, I gotta go. So yeah, that's it for the hour. Cheers, guys. Sweden.
Yeah, let's get people caught up, man, on exactly what's going on here. Obviously, Fast Travel Games reached out and they said that they had an opportunity for Without Parole, and said, hey, do you guys want to come to Sweden and check out PSVR 2, some games that we've got going on, and obviously I don't leave my apartment, so so it made sense to ask you. You just got in today. Did you get the royal treatment?
It's been a good journey. I flew with British Airways that I haven't done since I was a kid, because normally you just go for the absolute budget airline where you sort of have to pay to have oxygen in your cabin to breathe. This was good. Like, I had a USB slot for my phone on the plane. I hate it when you're on a plane and you want to play games on your phone, but you're like, I've only got 20% left and I need this phone when I get to the other side to make sure I know where I'm going. Okay, I'll just have one more game. And having Wi-Fi on the plane, being able to tweet from the sky was, I don't know, quite a cool experience. But yeah, getting here, they didn't really tell us a lot of what was going to happen, like when we got here, but we arrived with this beautiful package that I held up already, which I'll happily do again. And I will go through this in a minute. And they had this wonderful card that said, Myles, welcome to the FTG Day. We hope you enjoy a small taste of what Sweden has to offer. And they've got lots of wonderful things in there. And then they've given, which I can't show, but they've given me a list of what's going to happen over the next 2 days. So it's basically going to finish at 4 o'clock on Sunday, and then Sunday night I'm going to head back. And so yeah, we're meeting early tomorrow morning. Going to be a 9 a.m. start at the studios, which is about a 3-minute walk. And yeah, in terms of what they've told, they've just said that we are going to be playing some games, and I can go through some of those games in a moment. But there is a top secret game that I am not allowed to talk about, and to help with that, I don't actually know what the game is. So I can speculate with everyone on the chat today. We could talk about that in a bit. But the final thing I'll say, Brian, before I go back to you, is I will be getting my hands on PSVR2. They haven't said in terms of what. I can suspect actually maybe some of the games that's going to be for. But yeah, getting to experience PSVR2 hardware, very, very exciting, and even more so after seeing Wes and that. Now, I'm not going to be getting to play, well, who knows? I'm not going to be getting to play Horizon Call of the Mountain or Resident Evil 8 unless, I don't know, we managed to sneak something in. I doubt it. I don't think that's planned at all. But just to, you know, put it on and get a sense of this is how it feels, and also to be with many other VR content creators who, you know, do play on other platforms. Some of them were at CES and, you know, tried all the new headsets. It'll be really great to network with them. I've done a bit of that tonight already, and just getting a sense of what they feel about PSVR 2 against other headsets that they use. So yeah, just really wonderful to be here. Huge thanks to Brian for helping set this up, with Andreas from Fast Travel Games, who reached out and made the offer. And I was saying to Brian earlier, arriving, I sent him a video. I don't know if he's actually played it yet, but when I arrived at the airport, yes,
I forgot to do anything with this video because I took a nap before the show.
It's such a small clip, so it's all good. But when I arrived at the airport, they told me, you know, there'll be someone, a taxi guy, holding up a sign with your name. So I'm looking out for Myles Dyer. I'm filming it because obviously I'm going to have to do a nice little vlog afterwards of my travels. And I see this guy, and he's holding up. Oh, it doesn't say Myles Dyer. It says PSVR without Parle. I think it was misspelt. But in that moment, it kind of really struck a chord with me and just went, wow. And I feel proud. I feel proud to be representing not just PSVR without Parole, as you know, Brian, AJ, Wes, and myself, and, you know, us as the hosts and the people that work on this channel. But I feel proud to be representing the community. And something I wanted to mention right at the start of this, and I did say I was going to go to Brian, and I'm waffling on.
It's fine, dude. I'm trying to get this video up on the screen. You take your time.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But the thing I wanted to mention earlier was that, you know, with all the support that you guys give, stuff like this happens because of you.
Yeah.
And going into this year, you know, not going too much into my personal life and that, but, you know, my band came to an end in November. I had to decide, you know, what I'm going to be doing this year in terms of music, and, you know, do I want that to continue? And the truth is, it may continue at some point, but right now I've got to work out where I want to focus. And I work a full-time job, and doing this, I get so much enjoyment out of it. I've been doing this live streaming the last couple of weeks with The Last of Us Part 1, which has been going great. And I'm excited for PSVR 2 to come out and to do live streaming with that. And so it's going to be a real focus point. And I'm just one of the big team. And to be here and getting involved. And it's the first time I'm meeting PSVR content creators. Nazy's here, who I've actually worked with. For those that don't know, she's one of the most brilliant VR content creators in the world. She came all the way from Australia. She's really great with Beat Saber. And she actually played on her channel my band's track a year ago when we made it for Beat Saber. And so I've always known her, and we've known each other, but meeting up today briefly, I was like, oh wow, we're actually meeting now as representatives of VR content creators. And so it's been a real moment of humbleness and, you know, taking it in and realizing this is going to be an amazing year, Brian, for all of us and for PSVR and the channel and the community. And so I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone out there.
Yeah, it's you know, I think maybe like most people, this is not an uncommon feeling, but not really taking something in until it's already happening. Like when they said they were going to fly you out to Sweden, I was like, oh, cool, that's great. And when Wes said that he was going to go represent without parole at CES, I was like, oh, cool, that's great. But until you actually get there, right? Until you guys have actually gotten there and been like, hey, we're here, we're doing our thing, and this is all something that you guys are excited about, and something that like benefits the channel and benefits our viewers, because then they're able to get kind of like this like hands-on first access from people that they trust, right? Like you go to any YouTube channel and say, oh, like, what did you think of PSVR2? But a lot of the cats like trust you guys, and and as much as I would love love to be there in playing PSVR 2. Again, like, leaving my apartment and getting a passport or anything else, it just isn't an option right now. Right. And so like, I'm really, really happy that you're able to do this, because otherwise it just wasn't going to happen. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it makes me feel really proud to be, to be part of this community and to have such, amazing co-hosts that are traveling all over the world in order to get this information for us firsthand. And it's great, man. 2023 is going to be a really big deal. I think it's going to be great. We're kicking it off with a bang.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, before I go through all the goodies and the fun stuff there, and I haven't actually looked in it, I thought I'll save it for the show, just to give some details about exactly what games I'm going to be playing. I'll go through them quickly, and then we can, dive into them a bit more. Yeah. I'm just trying to get it on screen, but it's...
Also, while you're getting it up on screen, I do want to say, if anyone out there is like wondering, why are you guys doing, if you're not going to fast travel until tomorrow, why are you doing this video today? Here's the thing. The embargo for all this is not lifting tomorrow or anything. It's like, you're not going to hear what Myles has done tomorrow for a while. Because
there'll be some things I can talk about, and basically they're going to let us know tomorrow what we can and can't talk about. But when I asked them, can I talk say publicly that I'm going to be getting my hands on PSVR 2, they went, yep, but there's an embargo of when you can talk about your impressions of it. And my theory behind it, I don't know this, but I just assume, because someone asked earlier, but what about, Wes? He talked about it straight away. When Wes went to CES, that was Sony doing their own stand.
Right.
This is Fast Travel Games that would have had to speak with Sony and say, hey, we want to show, influencers these games, using PSVR 2. And so there's going to be, a bit more friction there than if it was directly Sony. And that's cool, because they want to give us some time to go home. Nazy's got to go all the way back to Australia. It took her 24 hours to get here. She's not staying here just for 2 days. She's staying for a full week with her husband, bless her. It's important to sort of give the space. So yeah, as Brian says, tomorrow I'm not going to be saying this is my impressions. I'm going to be really eager to. I'll be like, Brian, cancel your pre-orders. It's over. Right. It's over. We're shutting down the channel. But I can't imagine it's going to be that long. But who knows? Who knows? But the other reason we're talking about it today is, me, when I was in Romania, I still try to host on here.
Yep.
I wasn't not going to host the show, but it'd be a bit weird if this was the background. And you're like, so where are you, Myles? Oh, Sweden. To check out PSVR 2. Well, we'll talk about other stuff. We had to make a deal out of it and share this excitement with you, because this stuff happens because of you, the community, and we love you for it, and we're grateful. So yeah.
We got Dead Ringer, the Game Cat, with the $5 tip in the chat. I literally forgot what our currency was here for a second, because I was so used to saying euros and quid and everything else, right? Securos, that when I saw the dollar sign, I literally forgot for just a moment what to say. Dead Ringer, the Game Cat, with the $5 tip says, hey guys, happy Friday. Do you think we'll be able to preload games that we pre-order before release date? Have fun in Sweden, Myles.
It's a good question. I assume yes.
I'd assume yes. Yeah, if you can pre-order them.
You don't have your heads, you don't have the key. Yay, I've got Call of the Mountain installed, and I guess I'll play it in the next 7 days.
Yeah, I'll definitely be. I'm definitely curious about that. It's I don't know, man. I don't know, because honestly, I don't pre-order many games, especially digitally, and so I don't even know how it works normally. I feel like it's different for every game, right? It's every you pre-order a game, and then some of them, like 24 hours, will allow you to pre-order, allow you to download it and get it ready for the countdown to 0 minutes and 0 hours, and then some of them are just like nothing, right? Like some of them don't allow you to pre-download at all. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see which ones give us that option.
And I don't bother with the midnight stuff because the last time I did it was for Red Dead Redemption 2, and I remember being excited. And as soon as it went midnight, I started playing it, and about 40 minutes in, I was like trying to keep my eyes open. I was so tired, and I was like, you know what? I just need to go to bed and enjoy this with fresh eyes. So it didn't work for me personally. Yeah. Right, the games. Shall I go through them?
Yeah, let's get Alex's tip. Alex with the $2 tip says, let's get a tip train going to buy Brian a passport. It's not the money. It's not the money. I legit don't leave my apartment. And honestly, when Andreas Juliuson contacted me and asked me to do this, it was like less than a month ago. And like at this point, I think it takes like 3 months to get a passport. So I was just like, I don't, there's just no way to make that happen. All right, man. Yeah, let's do it. What games, can you tell us that you'll be playing tomorrow?
This is what I believe I can say, so hopefully I'm not about to just completely botch this trip. I was speaking with Brian earlier, and I was going through all the emails again and again, just being absolutely meticulous about it. I like the idea that right now Fast Travel Games are in the studio, in their studio with like a projector on, sweating, with clipboards. They're outside the door now, like SWAT team, like with charges on the door. As soon as he says the wrong thing, we're blowing down the door. You just see me get wrestled to the ground, handcuffed and thrown out, and then I'm just taking a helicopter out into the ocean and dropped into the air. Like, yeah, we're never talking about this again. We're never doing this again. Anyway, nice. That aside, no pressure on me, of course. So I'm going to get a world's first hands-on with Cities VR Enhanced Edition, and that's on PSVR2. So that's really, really cool. My feelings about this, and we've spoken about Cities VR on one of the previous shows, not having this context beforehand, but I love that. What's that red laser point on Myles' face? I was someone, I'm not going to go over this too much because we've spoken about it before, but like SimCity 2000, I remember growing up with that, and I never really used many sim builders since then. The closest I probably got was, is it Tropico? Yeah. I played like the fifth one and then the second one, and those were kind of cool, but it's not exactly the same to like go back into that world in VR. Personally, I'm really looking forward to it. It's not one of my top 5 games, but yeah, I'm excited to play it. And yeah,
right. I mean, you're gonna get to play it on PSVR 2. I think that's the more exciting part. Like to be able to actually have the headset on and hold those sense controllers. And despite this being the first game, it was interesting watching Wes play and talk about Call of the Mountain. He had too much to take in, right? Like there's like this visual overload. He was trying, there's obviously they were trying to walk him through the beginning of the game. He had to deal with Steve. And so I don't think he actually got to appreciate the actual PSVR 2 features, right? Like, like really feel the adaptive triggers and take in what the headset and the controllers are capable of and what they're doing. I think with something like this, I think it's a little less the game itself, and this isn't a slam at Cities VR, but compared to Call of the Mountain, it's a little more casual, right? A little more laid back. And so I think you'll actually be able to appreciate the more technical side of things when you're playing this kind of like laid back game.
Yeah, and I think it's also a different facet of gaming where you want to sort of get a sense of the tracking because of, if I haven't, know that much about the gameplay other than what I've seen in trailers and stuff, but to be in it, you want to be specific with how you lay things out and move around. Mm-hmm. Yes, first person shooters and like cool amount stuff is going to be great, but in VR, the games that have surprised me and I've often enjoyed the most because of those surprises have been games that aren't those first-person shooters, like Puzzling Places or Tetris Effect. It's those things that you break away and go, this is actually something I wouldn't have normally considered, but as an experience in virtual reality, this was a pleasant surprise. And so, yeah, I am really looking forward to it. The fact that it is going to be on PSVR2 is a wonderful bonus. So yeah.
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 Nope.
Go for it.
That's it.
Next is a hands-on with close to final version of Ghost Signal, a Stellaris game. Now, I don't know too much about this game myself. I've seen the Meta Quest trailers, and they've done a few gameplay things. But I believe, I just don't know too much about it, to be honest. And so, and I think it is just because it's a game that, again, I don't know anything at the moment about this. It's a game that hasn't been on PSVR. Like with any game, the thing about moving on to PSVR 2 is any game that's ever been on the Meta Quest, we're now going, could it be ported over?
Right.
And that's exactly like my approach here. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I'm glad you're going to be able to get to play some of these games that maybe we haven't covered, we haven't talked about, because like you said, at this point, anything's possible. We definitely want. There was like this. What did they call it? PETS initiative when the Switch first came out, and it was an acronym for Port Everything to Switch. PETS, and because that's where people just wanted to play everything, and so I'm sort of in the same boat with PSVR 2, right? Just bring every VR game ever made to PSVR 2, whether that be an original Quest game, I don't care if it's a fucking Google Cardboard game. I just want it to be a place where you can just play everything, any game that you've ever heard of for VR, and that includes this, a game that I'm looking at this trailer and going, not terribly interested in this, right? But again, for it to be available, for all games to be available on PSVR 2, that would be kind of the dream.
And then the final, well, it's not the final thing, but like in terms of what I can talk about specifically, there's just going to be a new and exclusive content from Everslaught, Invasion, Guardians, Frontline, and We Are One. Again, 3 titles I don't think have been on PSVR.
Right.
And so again, look, in some ways, I'm actually looking forward to playing them on whatever device they're on, because for a bit of context, and I was actually talking about it with some of the other VR content creators tonight, PSVR is the only VR headset I've experienced other than the HTC Vive, which was my first one, where my brother introduced me to the first sort of like modern domestic VR kit, which was amazing. And it's where I played Job Simulator and Arizona Sunshine and Raw Data, and was totally blown away. But then when I got my own headset, I've never gone back to the HTC Vive. And so, yeah, experiencing other headsets and that, I think it's going to be a great experience for me. I want to get a sense of, what are the differences and things like that, especially in an environment where, okay, the objective today is we're going to try out these games and these VR headsets at a VR studio where they're probably going to have very good setups for it. And so, yeah, I think that in itself is going to be is going to make it a really, really cool couple of days.
Nice. Off topic, but Kiwi D in the chat was asking about Puzzling Places coming to PSVR 2. Not a fast travel game, but again, getting everything on the PSVR 2. I love derailing things because Puzzling Places
should you, it's me.
It should be on that list of games that we talked about earlier. I was like with Blood and Truth and Wanderer, and games that were either made by Sony or heavily funded by Sony. Because Puzzling Places was announced like a full year before it came up to PSVR 1. It was like, and it was on a PlayStation blog post. I think it was in a video somewhere. And we're like, what are you doing? Like, this Puzzling Places is the type of game you announce like a week before it comes out, and that's it. But no, they were promoting it a year ahead of time. And so there was definitely some Sony money involved in that. And so I would expect, again, the Puzzling Places to be announced with a bunch of other PSVR 1 games coming to PSVR 2 whenever Sony decides to start talking.
I know there's a few tips to go through, but the last thing I'll say, which will obviously create a new conversation after we've done the tips, but the last thing I can announce while I'm there is that I will be one of the first, and when I say one of, I don't mean as well as other groups, the people that are here right now, we are going to be the first outside of the studio to try out their next yet unannounced title.
Ooh.
They've described it as something that we will want to sink our teeth into, which could be a literal thing, might be an eating game.
I really hope it's not an eating game.
Eating sim. You just eat food, and but this is a title, and again, and what I love is, in our guidance, we're not allowed to talk about this, obviously afterwards, but right now we're allowed to talk about a top secret game, but I don't know what it is. We're not going to know until we're there. Right. So I'm happy to speculate. I do wonder if this is going to be a PSVR2 title. But that can also occur with all the other ones. It's going to be just really interesting. Look, this event is not about PSVR2. It's not, but it's got a place here, and we know that PSVR2 is a powerful headset that developers are excited about, and they might be saying, no, these are the things that we're intending to. And so for the top secret game, someone said Jaws VR. Can you imagine if they did? What was the shark game? That was on PS5 and PS4.
Sharknado.
Oh,
Maneater.
Say again.
Maneater.
Maneater. Thank you. Yeah. Can you imagine that in VR? I played that game. I actually had a good time with it. That would be quite fun.
I mean, other people,
Sharknado too. Yeah.
Other people in the chat are kind of like going on a game you can sink your teeth into, and saying maybe it's a vampire game, which,
yeah,
I feel like they wouldn't just say that without meaning something regarding it.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it's Good Dog, Bad Dog too. Who knows?
Maybe it's Dentist Simulator.
Dentist Simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to do a fill-in.
This is all sounding terrible, Myles.
Terrible. Sorry, am I not going with the more entertaining idea? I thought I was eating sim and dentist sim, but yeah, if you want to do your vampire shit, that's fine.
I definitely want to do my vampire shit. Yeah.
Vampire Dentist Simulator. That would be sick. We've not had that yet. I've come to suck your blood.
God. So I really hope. I told you before the show started. You're like, oh, I gotta get this tweet out. Maybe Fast Travel shared on their socials. And I was like, I don't think Fast Travel is going to share anything from Without Parole on their socials until they know exactly what we said, because I've got a bad history of, like, I don't know, maybe being too honest about my feelings about Fast Travel games. Right? They were, and I'm just going to get this out there. It almost feels like we're going off the rails, but let's fucking do it. Fast Travel games seemed like they were firing on all cylinders. They were making these big adventures, like with Apex Construct, right? It's like they just understood VR, and they understood that they wanted something built from the ground up for VR that just felt good to play. There was a good progression system. It just, this gameplay loop was so addictive for me, because it really allowed you to, like, go through the same places over and over and over again to continually level up different attributes. And I really enjoyed that. And then they gave you a reason to explore and find trophy. It seemed like the best first step that a small studio could take into VR. Be like, and it got rave reviews. Everybody seemed to love it. Great. And then from there, it started going downhill, right? As much as I love Curious Tale of Stolen Pets, which was a side project for them. It was like, like just a couple people on the team kind of putting it together. It was cute. It was fun. But then Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife was less than Apex Construct. And now all the games they're publishing are these games on Quest that are, again, these smaller games. And they're sort of at the forefront of where VR has been going for the last 4 years or so, and has been going, obviously much, much more toward the mobile side of things, the standalone Quest 1 and Quest 2 headsets, and developing and publishing games that would run on those platforms, which you got to do what you got to do. My real hope for Fast Travel is that they also understand where VR is heading after that, after Quest 1 and 2, that now they've got this ability to make these some of the biggest VR games that the world has ever seen, and take the stuff they learned from Apex Construct and bring us a brand new IP or something on PSVR2. If they don't have something like that in the works, then I'm really, really concerned for them. You see a studio like End Dreams doing the polar opposite, right? They're like, oh, we see that PlayStation VR 2 is the future, and so we opened a triple A Studio Elevation, and then they bought the Shooty Fruity team, and they really it feels like they just understand what's happening in VR, that they have to do these kind of like mid-tier games that'll run on standalone platforms, but they also know that where the future's heading, and they're taking a big risk in making AAA VR games. And so I'm very curious to find out what Fast Travel's next move is, because they're either going to stumble out of the gate next gen, and that stumble could cost them everything, or maybe they'll take a risk that really, really pays off. And I'm extremely concerned, because I think they're a really, really talented group over there, and without knowing what they're working on, I just don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's some. I really, as always, appreciate your insights with this, Brian. And again, before the show, when sort of talking about this briefly, as GameCats know, my entry into VR was at a bit of a lag compared to Brian. He's been there from the beginning and working on this. This channel was what helped me get into PSVR and getting games. There's a lot of games I haven't played in the early days of PSVR, and so I feel like for me, peaking with any developers or any games hasn't happened yet. And so although the Wraith game I didn't play huge amounts of, just because horror it isn't a priority, or there's got to be some really engaging things there that grab me. But I did like certain parts and ideas going on there. Apex, phenomenal game. I'm people are going to say, look, I've been paid to come out here. I'm going to have tainted, rose tinted glasses, all that. I am genuinely excited for all devs in the space at the moment, because I think PSVR2 gives this amazing opportunity. But Brian is right that when there is a new technology, that is a gateway for propelling yourself for the next generation. Now, I'm going to be meeting the teams tomorrow. Going to be having great conversations. Amazing people, very talented with great backgrounds, and I'm really excited not just to play the games, but get a sense of their vision and what are the things? I come from a background in marketing, and it's about looking at trends and understanding the market, right, and predicting what is going to happen, which isn't an exact science. It's a bit of alchemy, and so I'm looking forward to the next couple of days, not only just to play the games and play PSVR 2, but just to get a sense of what they're working on next. So I mean, those concerns that Brian raises, I think, could apply to anyone. But I definitely want to see a game that looks next gen, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens over the next couple of days. For that reason.
Nice.
Shall I have a look in this basket?
I think so. The gears are turning right now. I'm really trying to figure out what games they could be showing you that you don't know about yet. Because the issue with Fast Travel is that it could be anything. They could have had something in development for years that they haven't been talking about, which is my secret hope for PSVR 2. And then the other thing is that they've taken on a lot of publishing duties, and I think that's been really, really good for them. And so they could just be publishing this secret game, and it's not even something that's been developed internally. So really, it could be literally anything because of that. So possibilities are crazy.
But that's what I kind of find exciting about all of this, is the sky's the limit. And this is a very important time for them to invite people. I mean, look, I don't know how often they do these kind of things, but it feels like a very special time to be doing it. It's the new year. It's less than 40 days from PSVR 2. They're going to let us play PSVR 2. I'm just laughing all the Swedish conversations in the chat. It's just a real privilege to be here. And I'm going to be honest, the thing I like about the relationship we have as PSVR with companies, with brands, and that is we do have editorial freedom. Right. That can be argued that it comes at a cost if we say things that aren't always positive, but our positive views on games are not going to hold a lot of weight if that is always the benchmark. If we're always being positive and some are just slightly more positive than others, then you don't really get a sense. What I loved when I first tuned into PSVR was I would check out a review, and Brian's reviews weren't just saying like this is a terrible game or this is a great game. It's also it's like this is what it did for me, and these are the if you're this sort of gamer you would like it, and it's very personal in that way. And so anytime we discuss these things, if there's ever moments that are critical, it's never personal. It's not because we want people to fail. It's actually because we want people to succeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I'm just being real about it. I'm really excited to see what they've been up to. And it's not just because of this basket of goodies. Even the basket it comes in, I want to see if I can pack it and take it back. It's wonderful. I want one of these to put. I don't know what I'm going to put in it. I guess more of this stuff. But as I said, we've got this card here. We've got some tips actually.
Do you want to do tips first? But we can do tips first.
Let's do tips.
All right. We got Ben Dawson with the 5 quid says PSVR without Parle forever. Seriously though, you guys rock. I got the video up on the screen even though it was 90 degrees counterclockwise. Thank you, Ben Dawson. Kill Artist won the dream. It is so crazy that you showed up and there was like somebody holding a PSVR without Parole sign. Who's
he held it down a straight way, and then I said, "Oh, could you hold it back up?" And that's why he's doing it. I kind of wish I did, but then I didn't want to film him without announcing myself first, because then it's just like I'm walking towards him with a camera. Yeah. He was a really, really cool taxi driver. Had really good conversations, and he's a gamer.
Oh, nice.
Well, not a PSVR gamer, but maybe after.
What I love is that it says PSVR across the top, and then it says without in big letters, and then it squishes Parole in the tiny right hand corner. It's like as if he didn't realize how many letters he was about to write.
To be fair, if I'd never heard of the channel before, didn't really know about PSVR, I would be like, "What the hell are they getting me to write here?" Like
that's true. Without Parle.
Yeah.
Kill Artist won the Dreamweaver Game Cat with $5 tip. It says, Myles, I'm so excited for you getting to try out PSVR2 this weekend. I hope you can talk about the PSVR2 basic experience. Hopefully, no Steve. Yeah. Also, dude, I think, despite the fact that you're probably going to be limited to fast travel games on PSVR2 to play, I do think that you're getting the better experience than compared to somebody like Wes that went to CES and had tracking issues because of all the Wi-Fi problems. And this is going to be more like the ideal way to play PSVR 2. This is going to be more like what happened in September with the press event, where different members of the press got to go to Sony offices and just one at a time play as in the same way that they would play at home. So it's going to be nice for you to have like this relatively flawless experience, I think. Yeah, no, absolutely. Really, really looking forward to it. Okay, final one. Right. Starlight 137 with the €5 says, I'm a huge fan of Paradox games on PC. He clarifies that City Skylines and Stellaris. He says, excellent games. I didn't know that they were VR versions. Actually hyped. There you go. Look at that. We actually brought you some news today. Who would have thought? All right. I love the hype. Let's check out this basket. I need to see this basket. Right, so we got... Right, first of all, we got Tutti Frutti rings. This is when I wish I was at home with my camera that does the whole blur for close-ups. Like that's what it's made for. But this has been good. These Tutti Frutti. There better be Swedish fish in here. I learned today that Swedish fish that we get in North America are made in Canada, but like the only Swedish fish in the world that are made in Sweden are the ones you buy in Sweden. So you got to you got to smuggle some Swedish fish back home for us. I'm going to do my best. So some of them are half and half. So one of them is apple and strawberry. One is kiwi and melon, and then one is salty licorice. Ugh, that sounds terrible. But this one says, "Hi, we're also vegan." So that's good. So that's a good one. Oh, I like that. It's good. Yeah, it's good to know that your candy's not eating meat. Yep, great. Great. Next one, we've got Bila. I mean, I'm not even going to read what that says at the top. Bila, but they look like mini marshmallow, like little mini marshmallow, like. Mm-hmm. And does it specify the THC content in each gummy? No, it doesn't. No. Unfortunately. Okay.
but established in 1953. So there we go.
Not gonna lie, I thought the gift basket was gonna be way more exciting than this.
Dude, I've got to build it up. Would you just rather I just go, and here's a PSVR2?
Yeah.
Oh, and now here's gummies.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, what is this, CES? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Get off the stage.
Cola, chocolate. Is that vanilla? Oh, dude, I don't even know what these flavors are. Can anyone read these ones? I don't know. I don't know, but these look good. Dude, I'm gonna have to eat all these. Oh, and the chocolate covered caramel.
I'm gonna have to eat all of these. That's a yeah.
No, but before I leave, because you can't travel with food.
Really?
Because you can't. I think after leaving EU, we've totally screwed it.
I don't leave the country. I have no idea how shit works.
Yeah. Okay, this is Turkish Piba, which I think is Turkish Delight. I could be wrong. Again, vegan. Too hot to handle? ? Okay, these have got warning on it. Okay. Can someone tell me what that is? Because that doesn't look good. And there's a lot of them. Should I do one now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
3. Oh, my God. Look, they look like bits of charcoal.
Yeah, that's not selling me.
Here we go. Dude, I should get some glass of water or something. Maybe I should do this one last before I've done it. Okay, I've got to present the others while I'm going. Okay. Okay. Oh, God, that smells horrible. Okay. Looks like
It's a warning, not for human consumption.
What does it remind me of?
Oh, Ruthless Metal in the chat says, do one now. They are spicy, but you'll live.
You'll live. I'm glad. I'm glad it wasn't. They're spicy. They taste good, but you'll die. It is licorice. It's got a bit of a kick to it coming now. Right. This is. I think it's chocolate with like salt in it. I'm just guessing what these mean. But I mean, look at some of these words, man. They look so made. They're just made up. They're just like, how many letters can we just put together, cram into a word?
Chocolat fabrique.
Yeah, well, that's very good, very good.
Thank you.
I mean, I have no idea.
I've been
really
studying.
Offensive.
Yeah.
But oh my God, look at this photo on it. What is going on there?
Is that woman being choked by a man in an umbrella?
That's what I mean.
Man, yeah, you. Oh, it's a microphone. I thought he. God, where's my mind? I thought he was choking that woman. Okay. You have the least steady hands of anybody I've ever seen in my life.
It's really difficult, and also I've got a bad back.
Sorry.
Okay, those sweets, they weren't. It's not that hot unless it's going to get really hot, but at the moment it's fine. Okay, we've got some potato chips, trifle.
Try again.
And it looks like it's tuna, but I don't know what tuna. I don't know.
I mean, I could just have a translation page up. We can look this stuff up as we go.
These look good though. These look good. I like these. I like that. Calm down. He's joking.
Swedish.
Holy shit, Myles! You know you're in their country, right? I know. I know.
It's a tuna.
Amazing, man.
TUNNA means barrel.
So they're barrel chips.
That helps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Got some Elevate, some nice vitamin water. We'd say vitamin, but for my American brothers and sisters, vitamin.
Well done.
Vitamin water.
Water.
Or as we say, vitamin water. Vitamin water. Okay. And then finally,
see, this is what we've been waiting for. Something.
PSVR2. Here we go.
Here it is. Put that shit on your head. Oh, sorry. There's already something.
Oh man, I was actually looking for a new hoodie.
Nice.
Look at that.
Nice.
Okay, let me take that off. Pause and make some massive bang and get a load of complaint. There we go. Dude. And it's great colour. Nice blue colour. Fast travel games. And then on the back.
Nice. Oh, now you're one of them.
One of them.
Right.
One of us. One of us. Isn't that from The Simpsons? One of us?
Yeah, I think so.
One of us. Everything's been on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
like barrel chips and vitamin water. But yeah, so and it's a new hoodie. New hoodies always feel really, really good. So anyway, nice little welcome gift. And as I said, for those that missed it at the start, on their little card when I first came into the room, it was just a lovely message, and they also included a 250 kroner gift card for the coffee shop across the road. And I'm not a coffee drinker, but I had a I had a hazelnut mocha latte, and it was really, really good. And I thought, this is why I stay away from coffee.
How do you spell krona?
But yeah, well, this is the thing about their currency called krona, Krona, is I feel like if I said, yeah, I've got krona, you might worry some people. Yeah,
it's about $25.
Yeah, it's a they say it's a very cashless society here, and I thought, okay, yeah, everyone pays on card.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of places I've been to, they literally say we don't accept cash. It's just you pay on card.
Wow.
So found that kind of interesting.
Crazy.
That sweet that I've got, it's not that. Okay, I've bitten into it now, and that's oh.
Well, I guess
End of show, Brian.
I guess you don't have to eat them all before you leave, then, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Krona means crowns. They've said in the chat, which could be just them making shit up, but it sounds good, so I'll go with it.
It's Firebird old school. I believe at least 50% of everything he says. So take that however you want.
But the fact that all this, I think pretty much all this was vegan, respect as well. Like I just like, if you're not vegan and stuff's vegan, it's not going to harm you. And I like it when people they're considerate like that. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's the goodies I got, and I'm in this quite a funky room, as you can see from the background and stuff. Like a cool background, and yeah, it all kicks off in when I get off here in half an hour. I've got to be up for breakfast in 5 hours, and yeah, could be good.
Well, I mean, at least you're not down at the bar drinking. I mean, that would make waking up tomorrow morning much, much more difficult. Right?
Yeah, I went down to the bar to get a nice Coke to give me a bit of caffeine and that, but yeah.
Steve IRE says, how can sweets be vegan? What? I don't understand. Of course they can be vegan.
Yeah,
it's just fucking sugar.
Most sweets are made out of whale blubber, isn't it?
Yeah.
Haribo is just made out of Free Willy.
Sure. I mean, even Oreos are just naturally vegan. Like, it's sweet stuff is really, really easy to make vegan. I was vegan for years, and so I've got a pretty decent understanding of all this.
Next week's stream will be Myles streaming from Swedish prison after trying to smuggle their candy out the country. Yeah. Man. Set 2 alarms. Yeah, I do set 2 alarms. I set the regular alarm half an hour after my main one, which is on a sleep cycle app I use, which... just a little tip for people, Sleep Cycle is a great app for your phone, and one of the features on it is if you set your alarm, let's say for 7 a.m, it says, all right, we're going to wake you up between 6:30 a.m. and 7, because a traditional alarm clock at 7 a.m, doesn't matter how you're doing in your sleep, it's horrible. Whereas this, overnight, it measures when you're in light sleep, you're moving around a bit, and when you're in deep sleep, when you're not moving much at all, you could be dead, but hopefully that doesn't happen. And yeah, basically.
wait. So if you're in deep sleep, if you're dead, the alarm just never goes off. Like he's in really. I
don't know.
It
just goes. Oh, you're very well rested. But it measures your sleep cycle, and so in that half an hour leading up to when you want to wake up, it will slowly wake up as you go into light sleep. I've never gone back to a regular alarm. I've used it for 5 years now, and my God, it's amazing. So, yeah, just a little random recommendation for anyone that struggles with sleep.
Nice.
Or waking up.
Yeah, Serial Killer is wondering, what's it called again?
It's called Sleep Cycle. The icon on the App Store is orange, and I think it's got a cycle icon with like a clock that's white. But yeah, Sleep Cycle. Give it a go. It's got some other cool features on it. Like I listen to it. You can set at the beginning, like I like the sound of rain. Some people like white noise or brown noise or pink noise. They're all the different frequencies. So especially I've got a bit of tinnitus now because of playing in a heavy metal band and all that stuff. It's quite good, and it cuts out after like half an hour.
Brown.
Because that's something I never understood is when people listen to podcasts to bed. I'm always like, but doesn't it just keep going on and on? Like, how do you shut it off? And there's some other cool features that I'm not going to blab on now, but yeah, I've used it for 5 years.
Brown noise just sounds dirty. I'm sorry. Brown noise.
It does.
Really?
Reminds me of the brown note from South Park. You've seen that episode?
I don't think so.
Where they find a note that makes people shit themselves. And so there's the World Recorder festival where schools from all over the world come to play the recorder and they change the last note to the brown note. And when that whole world, like all the schools around the world play it, the whole world shits itself. It's like South Park.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as South Park as it gets.
Yeah.
Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €2 says, I love how snooze is implemented in Sleep Cycle. Dude, I'm a big snoozer, right? Constantly telling my Echo Show, like snooze for 5 more minutes, snooze for 10 more minutes, and it gets me in trouble all the time. I shouldn't ever snooze. But how is it implemented in Sleep Cycle? I can't believe there's 350 of you still hanging out for this.
Yeah. I mean, it does have it, and it's fine. It works fine. The last thing I'll mention on it is when you set to sleep, you can add notes and you can make your own custom ones. So I do like, have I had caffeine after 3 p.m? Am I feeling anxious? Did I work out today? All these sort of things. Am I sleeping in a different bed? And so what it does is, over time, it builds a picture where it says, when you have these things in your life, it impacts your sleep quality by this amount. It even talks about like if it's a full moon or a half moon and how that impacts your sleep. It even works out like, oh, there's a sweet spot of like when you walk this amount a day, it's really good. But if you walk over 20 kilometers a day, when I've done some really long walks, then it's detrimental to your health. Temperature. And it also then tells you for each statistic what your stat is, so your sleep quality or the average time you go to bed or the average time you go for sleep for. And then it will show you the highest performing country. So you'll see like Saudi Arabia, I think, is like the country where people sleep the least. And then like Norway or something is like where people sleep the most. And so there's some really interesting stuff about sleep. And I know for a lot of people, sleep is a difficult thing. I've struggled with it for a long time. Yeah. I used to grind my teeth a lot with anxiety and stuff. I used to have to wear a mouth guard and stuff. So it's done wonders for me. It's not a one size fits all. So some of you are going to try it and it's not for you. But, why not give it a try?
Serial Killer says, that's enough, Myles. I already downloaded it. You can stop the sales pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm on new medications, and I take them all before bed. But the problem is like I fall asleep pretty easily, like around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then it's like I don't know if it's an interaction with the medication, but at like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. I wake up and I'm fucking absolutely awake, and then I cannot fall back asleep. So I'm just trying to like slowly alter that and get into a better sleep schedule. It sucks, man. Not being able to sleep is the worst. I haven't slept for a week.
Well, we live in a society now where, once upon a time, you would go to sleep when the sun goes down, and then you'd wake up when the sun comes up, and that was sleep was not interrupted. Now we have lights in the house. You have your screens, you have notifications, everything. We haven't been prepared to deal with like having interrupted sleep, and there's a lot of really interesting research on it. And it's important to get 8 hours, but it's the worst thing when you're trying to sleep is, I really need to sleep right now. Worst thing ever. Yeah. Zombie in the chat says, I can't believe only 133 of you hit the like button. So all of you out there, if you've not hit the like button yet, please do. It really helps us out. It's a wonderful little gesture that can make all the difference before we end the show today. But I think there is one more thing, Brian, isn't there?
Let's make sure we got all the tips. There is one more thing. Are you ready for this one more thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then it's time for PSVR 20 questions.
Is it my game?
That's why I asked, and that's why I sent you a run of show before the show began.
Yeah, but I never read that last bit. I'm always like, we'll just make it up when we get to it.
Yeah. We'll just make out when we get to it. This is going to be the best show ever. Is that what you said? Is that not what you said? Are we not?
I did.
Are we not going to make out now?
Oh, I didn't know that was on the thing, but
605 top 10 PSVR games. 705 Brian and
Yeah, okay, I
Myles,
got it.
Kiss.
I got one.
Okay. All right, you guys, I'm going to need all the help I can possibly get because for whatever reason, I forget every single PSVR game the second that this game starts. Myles has a PSVR game in that little head of his, and we only have 6 minutes and 20 yes or no questions to figure out what game he's thinking. This is not going to go well, I can tell you already. All right, let's do this. Help me out, cats. Ask me good questions and give me good suggestions for games that it might be. On my mark. Get Des. Go. Does this game use analog sticks?
No.
Okay. So we're going to maybe inaccurately assume that it's moves only. We'll find out if we're right about that. Has this developer made other PSVR games?
It's a really great question, actually. Let me just find out.
I like Ruthless Metal. He's like, is it a fast travel game? I think
What was the question? VR or PSVR?
Other PSVR games.
Oh man, that sweet is gross. Ugh.
You're just running down the clock is what you're doing. You're like, there's no way.
No, I'm going to say no. No other games.
Okay. Is this a shooty game? You play a lot of shooting. You do a lot of shooting in this game?
Oh, I wouldn't say so. No.
No.
It's like if you compressed all the ocean, all the salt in the ocean. Ugh. Ugh. Ugh.
Is it a good game? Would it ever been in consideration for our top 50 list?
Which question are you going for?
I'm specifying a good game would mean it was at some point in consideration for a top 50 list.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So it's decent.
Yeah. Four.
We'll call it good game. We'll call it good.
Spitting this out. I can still hear you.
Sure. Zombie 5150 is asking, does it have puzzles? Is it a puzzle game? Puzzles.
Yes. 5.
What question were you answering? Is it a puzzle game? If like it's a puzzle game?
Does it have puzzles? Yeah.
Does it have? Okay. I guess they are similar. It's kind of different questions, but yeah. Is there serial killers asking? Is there full locomotion, free movement?
Guess time for this vitamin water. Is there? Yes. Oh. No, there's not.
Okay. For anyone, somebody suggested Zing, but Zing has DualShock support, so that doesn't work for the analog question.
It's good.
Old Darth is saying, is it based on a known IP?
It is indeed. 7.
That's really big. Is the IP it's based on something like a puzzle game based on an IP?
It's not. It's got puzzles in it. Wouldn't say. Yeah.
A game with puzzles based on an IP. Is the we got to figure out the IP here. Is the IP something that would be is like a TV show or movie that it's based on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. 8.
Okay, so a game with puzzles based on TV show or movie. Are there any comic book characters involved in this, like superheroes or regular heroes?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
That's 9.
Okay, was this a launch game for PSVR? Did this come out on October 13th, 2016?
No.
Okay, that eliminates Batman, you guys. We were doing pretty good.
No, sorry. It did come out then.
That no longer eliminates Batman, you guys. I feel like this is going to be the one.
Wait, what date did you say? Wait, what date did you say?
October 13th, 2016.
Oh no, no, it didn't. It didn't come out on then. No.
Probably came out like the 11th or 12th or something.
Yes, no. So that's two more. That's 30.
So who is? So somebody is like about an hour behind the rest of us. They're like TikTok sucks.
I love that.
Nice. Is this made by Rocksteady Games?
It is indeed, Brian.
Could
That's
this
awesome.
possibly be Batman Arkham VR?
It is, Brian. It is Arkham VR. And Gundy v Das Game Cat Vetter said Batman first, which I'm gonna give for that. Yeah. But yeah, no, well done, everyone. Nice. Yeah, the puzzle thing. There were puzzle elements, aren't there? There's the
Sure.
bit when you're in the alley having to work out how was it Robin that was killed? I don't want to give spoilers actually. And it wasn't Robin, it was someone else.
Yeah.
In the alley.
Yeah, no, there's certainly a bunch of puzzle elements. Yeah, you nailed it. It's like,
Yeah.
It's interesting because this game really nailed the detective part of Batman. I mean, he's known as like the world's greatest detective. Great, but they really kind of dropped the ball on everything else. Like when it comes to Batman, it's like you don't get to drive the Batmobile, you don't get to grapple and ascend buildings or really get into any kind of fights, which is fine. Like for people's first entry into VR, I think this is a great first entry into VR. I would certainly recommend this over like Job Sim. Like this is way cooler than that. In the whole,
it's amazing how good it looks, man.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful game, and the ending, without going to specifics, is phenomenal.
The ending's phenomenal, but I've got to say my favorite part in this game is the Killer Croc segment. When you find yourself in trapped, it makes you want a Saw VR game so bad because it
right.
Basically for like 10 minutes it feels like you're playing Saw VR, and it's
yes,
it's so good. I like that segment even more than the amazing ending of this game. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, Rocksteady Games haven't made any other VR.
No.
Which, great. It'd be wonderful to see them. I mean, they did a great job with it. It's like, yeah. I guess just an issue of priorities. Part of me is like, why didn't they make something else? But maybe they will have something for PSVR2. Who knows?
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. They do seem very interested in VR. Looper the Underground Gamecast says Last Labyrinth is Saw VR. Only if Saw was the most boring movie you've ever seen in your life. Last Labyrinth are the worst puzzles ever. But yeah, you're right. There are big moments in Last Labyrinth that are very Saw VR. I agree with you, Looper. Big time.
Lots of comments in the chat about saltiness. Odvar Holand said though, Myles, if you crush those Turkish Peba candies into powder and drop the powder into a bottle of vodka, you get a killer party drink. I don't know if that's him doing a joke, and I'm like, oh, I've just wasted a whole bottle of vodka. But no, I could believe it. When I worked in France at a ski resort many years ago, they used to take like jelly babies, and they used to put them in vodka bottles, and then put the vodka bottle in the dishwasher, and the heat of it melted it all, and then you got fruit vodka. Yeah. Which was a cool thing.
What a bar I used to work at, they would make Skittle rum. So they would like put separate rum with all these different bottles, and then we'd separate Skittles. Like they just get like these mega pounds and pounds of Skittles. So we'd all sit at the bar after work, and we'd separate the colors of the Skittles out, and then we'd drop them into the bottles of rum, and just like overnight, it would become Skittle rum, and it was tasty. I was a vodka drinker, so I tried to do it myself with vodka at home, and let me tell you, bad idea. Skittle vodka, terrible. Skittle rum, delicious. Yeah, they used to make
Serial Killer
mojitos out of the Skittle rum.
That's awesome. Serial Killer was right. Gummy bears. Gummy bears was what they used.
Gummy bears. Serial Killer says, or perhaps Sour
Oh,
Patch
dude, you took
Kids.
me back then with just that little bit. I remember that song.
Right? That was like one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah, good stuff. All right, you guys, we got to get out of here. It is late over in Sweden, and man, I've got a headache that just won't fucking quit. So it is time
dude.
to shut this place down. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to everybody who helps this channel run. Jamie, who gets this thing up on podcast services of your choice. Everyone who's listening out there. Thank you very much for getting us into the top 100 video game podcasts last month. Amazing accomplishment. Worldwide top 100 video game podcast. It is an amazing accomplishment. I'm so happy
That's amazing.
You guys have pushed us into that realm. It's amazing. Also, Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, I guested on his channel yesterday. If there's no link to anywhere, I'm sure there's one on Discord, but you can literally search Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry on YouTube and watch it was a hangout session. We just talked about random stuff, horror movies, video games, all the normal stuff, retro stuff. It was good. We talked about video game music, but he does all the timestamps for the show, so make sure you thank him. Of course, all the moderators who make my life so much easier each and every day. I love you guys more than you'll ever know. If you ever want to make out on the show, Myles first, but then everybody else. That's how it works. And then, and of course, everybody who hung out in the chat. Thank you to everybody who helped in the 20 questions. Everybody who tipped during the show, Patreon supporters, and of course, all of you sat back and watched the show and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Let's get out of here.
See you later, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Zippy's in the chat says, I didn't even know fast travel was Swedish. Wouldn't that be funny? If, you're like, I'm heading to fast travel games, and you're just in Sweden. And that's not where they are. It's like something. Horribly wrong.
I did say there is something kind of a bit funny. I was saying to my dad as he was dropping me off, I'm physically going on a flight to another country to go into a room where I'm going to put on a headset and experience a virtual world. And I totally get why we're doing it, but it was kind of funny. So is it all right if I just quickly plug something before we end?
Oh yeah, of course.
I mentioned earlier that I'd been doing a lot of streaming this past week. I went out, I bought a capture card for my PS5. The Last of Us TV show comes out Sunday night.
Yes, so excited.
I'm so excited to be watching it with my parents on Monday. I actually think it's going to be quite an emotional experience because I've seen a lot of like Brian Altano from IGN and that, who people that love the game, know it inside out, had high expectations, and they said it still blew them away. Like, I can imagine getting to the end of that episode, and if it's as impactful as the start of the game was, I think I'm going to be in tears of just like, they've done it again. And I'm so glad people like my parents who got me into gaming and aren't gamers anymore are going to get to experience it. But that on the side, I had been streaming every day for, what was it, like 8-9 days. The Last of Us Part 1, chapter by chapter, all of them done now, and they're on my YouTube channel. So youtube.com/Myles. I can't type it in the chat. So
the link's in the description. It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the playlist is there. And I've also done timestamps for all the episodes. So if there's a bit I'm stuck on, you can skip through it. But I would just say, like, whether you're someone that's not familiar with the game or know someone, check it out. And also, I just appreciate the feedback because I am looking at maybe doing game streaming once a week on my channel.
Nice.
I've really enjoyed it. It's been an experience that I didn't think I was going to love as much as I did, because the only thing I'd say is that the reason that's kept me away from live streaming games all these years that I've been a YouTuber, the last 16 years, is you need to have one of two qualities to be a gaming streamer, in my opinion, which I was wrong about. One is you've either got to be excellent at a game, so like competitive, and people look at you to see your skills, which I don't have, or you've got to be really entertaining. And whenever I'm gaming, I like to sort of just concentrate and enjoy it for myself. I've realized that like games with narratives and that is my kind of game. And VR, I enjoy it as well. So I realized that this is the beginning of me streaming games, including horror games that many of you will love. So yeah, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support, and yeah, enjoy The Last of Us
And
on Sunday, everyone.
and while you're over on Miles' channel, go as far back as you can into his videos. Sort the videos by date published, oldest
Yeah,
first.
oldest to newest.
It's so interesting seeing the evolution of Miles. You were on. I was watching your channel today, and I saw you on the news about like some segment about
Yeah,
YouTubers or something. Like you were sitting in
yeah,
a news studio, and you're being
yeah,
interviewed about being a YouTuber.
yeah.
Fucking crazy. And you looked
It's,
and
it
you looked
is.
radically different, which was crazy too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons, Brian, why I've kept my YouTube channel, even though that what I should have done years ago was start a new one, is because I always want to show people the story.
Yeah.
I want to show people the journey I've gone on, because not because my journey in particular is special and others aren't. It's to show you that we all go on a journey, we all change, we can all change for the better. There are moments where I've gone through bad patches, but things change and I change, and you know what, it's come full circle because I've always been a gamer, and that can also happen as well. So yeah, it is a cool thing. My very first YouTube vlog is there, and you look at it when I teach at schools, I show kids it and they laugh, and I'm fine with that because a lot of kids now know about good lighting, putting the lighting in front of you.
Right.
They know about making sure they can hear you speak. They know about knowing what you're going to say before you start recording the camera. But back then, YouTube wasn't really a thing. Like, we were learning it, for the first time. And
It's the Wild West, man.
that's it.
Yeah.
And we're at the Wild West with VR, and we're going to look back and go, do you remember when we were trying to suss it out? But this is the exciting thing, and we can't do it without you guys. So keep up with the support. We love you for it, and yeah, have a great weekend.
Yeah. That's it. Time to get out of here. And I'm by the way, I'm doing the same thing. I'm all my old videos when I was first making videos for my channel. It's so cringeworthy, man. It's awful. Like, just some of the stuff I put out there was awful, and you can't be embarrassed of it. You gotta embrace it and be like, watch. Like, I'm so proud of like how far I've come. Every 2 years or so, I look back at what I've done prior, and I go, God, I can't believe I thought that was good. and I hope
Dude,
that 2 years from now, I look back at this and go, God, I can't believe I thought that was good. I hope we just keep both improving nonstop.
That's exactly it. And the last thing, Brian, one of my favorite comments on my first ever YouTube video, it was done as a joke years after I'd done it. And the comment was something along the lines of, oh, I wouldn't bother making YouTube videos. This is clearly not going to take off. And he wrote that knowing that I went on this journey. And some people criticized him thinking he was being serious.
Right.
I love that comment, because the point he was making was, no, I did go on a journey, and I show people that now, going, if I had listened to that comment and just not and given up then, Brian and I, and none of us would be having this conversation now. I'd be living a different life. And that kind of terrifies me, that thought. And so my advice to anyone out there with anything you're doing, if you're passionate about it, don't be discouraged. Follow your heart, follow your passions, and keep pushing forward, because you will create a path for yourself that is in line with what has meaning to you, not what is necessarily having meaning to other people. If you get that, that's a wonderful bonus. So yeah, just the last piece from me.
Awesome Tatum leaves us with a very introspective thought and says, I wonder what happened to Get Hip and the old lady. We may never know. But
I'll find out tomorrow at breakfast.
if he shows up, if he doesn't,
He'll be sat next to an old lady. It's like, yeah, we made up.
I mean, there's
And a good night. It was a wild night.
if he was going door to door to door to door, he may have encountered some issues that he didn't mean to encounter. Some people he didn't mean to annoy. It was fun while it lasted. All right, man. Everybody have a great weekend. Myles, be safe out there and have fun playing PSVR2. Keep in touch. Obviously, everybody on Discord, that would probably be the best way to keep in touch with Myles this weekend and find out, I mean, not, he can't break embargo, but he can probably give us some PSVR2 impressions. So join our Discord.
I'll be posting stuff on my if I can post stuff quickly, it'll be on my Instagram as well, on my Instagram stories. That's always a quick thing. So Instagram.com/Myles Dyer official. Again, there's probably gonna be a lot I can't post. But if there is, that's where I'll post it first. But yeah, I'll try and get on Discord as well.
Nice. All right, let's get out of here, man. Good night, everybody. We love you all.
Bye. I can't see me wave.
Oh, no. I probably should have brought the video back up like 10 minutes ago because we've just been staring at this thumbnail. But